The word of the day today is important. Because as the Eagles go on these 8 straight wins, if they've gone on this, we've had a lot of different iterations of it. First, it was they haven't beat anybody, even though they blew out teams. They had back-to-back 20-plus point wins on the road. Then they end up with a third one when they beat Dallas. Then it got to the point where some fans were, and gradually people are being more and more positive about this team because it's a really good football team. We're not saying to be positive because we just want you to be positive. Ricky and I have been positive because we believe in the team and we think they're really good, so we're being positive for what we think is a good reason. And as it's going along, then we got to just beat Washington, and then I'm on board. And they passed that test, obviously. Then they go out on Sunday Night Football, West Coast against the Rams in kind of a trap gamey type of spot. They take care of their business out there, and then obviously it all culminates with the win over the Ravens, again on the road, where they've shown that it doesn't matter, home, road, whatever it is. They've been excellent, and 4 of their last 5 games are now at the link with the best fans in all of the sport. But what's important from that run? Because I think some people that are maybe not being as positive as Ricky and I, or not being as positive really as I think Mike and Bill are as well, Morning Show not as positive, maybe they can't see, the forest from the trees. Maybe they're not fully focused on what's important, some of those people. And I have an idea we should go over some of the things that are important. And then what I think we could do is we could put a big filter over the city right now, city of Philadelphia. Well, not big enough. We have to do it over the whole Delaware Valley. Okay, we have to go from like Princeton, New Jersey. I don't know how far west in Pennsylvania, and then all the way to the tip of Delaware. We got to put this big filter on where we keep the important stuff inside and we let the nonsense filter through and get the heck up out of here because we don't need that anymore. Your team's really good. You don't have to fixate on the silly. I think most people would agree the offensive and defensive lines. Now, I understand that Bourne is a player that we all like, but the domination from the offensive and defensive lines, despite the fact that you missed Mailata during some of that time, you've had some injuries at right guard as well where Steen has had to play. You have not had necessarily a steady crew during this whole 8 games. And they've still been dominant on both lines. That's the most important thing. More important than Saquon Barkley, more important than Zach Bourne, who's playing at an all-pro level. We start with that defensive and offensive line. And when they say the cliche of football's won in the trenches, people like to dismiss that, but that's true. While Mahomes and Kelsey and all those guys, and when they had the cheetah, got all the headlines, and Andy Reid from when he was here, they had excellence on the offensive and defensive lines to go with it. It starts there. If you can't protect your quarterback, if you can't stop anybody, you're not going to win too often. The Eagles have displayed that over 8 weeks. That's really important. Then you go back to Saquon Barkley, where that signing turned out to be so much better than any of us could have imagined. He's at 1,400 yards. Don't lie. We all would have taken 1,400 yards for the whole season. He's at 1,400 yards with 5 games left. We all would have taken that. And then we go, to the rookies and all that stuff. There's so many things that are important. And then I'm going to bring up one unimportant thing, and then we'll go over to Ricky Bo. I know you have things that you think have been important,
yeah.
and Silvana and everybody out there as well. Worrying about Jalen Hurts statistics when you're winning every single game, that's not important. It's not important. I'll tell you what is important, though. The fact that he's not bothered by it. The fact that you haven't seen a change in his quote, body language, which I don't believe in, but a lot of people do. You haven't seen, I do care about when it comes to a player like him, his demeanor, because I want a player to be the same. Like Ricky can be a bit of a goofball sometimes with people that don't know during the breaks and stuff. He runs around, he throws things 100 miles per hour. That's what Ricky does. If Ricky's not doing that, then Ricky's not being Ricky. Obviously, we know Jalen Hurts is a stoic guy, but he's been having a little bit of extra fun.
Yep.
He's being himself, so he's not bothered by it. So my question is, for some of the people that are worried about something that I don't think is very important, if your team wins every week, why do you care about his stats? Why do you care about his stats? That's one unimportant thing. There's others, but that one doesn't make sense. To give an example. So, Ricky Bo, you've been watching this, and
yep.
You and I really, when they got to 4-2, you and I were kind of off to the races.
Yeah.
It took Savannah a little bit longer.
I was a little bit
slower.
Reserved, yeah.
But Ricky at 4-2. So from this 8-game stretch, what are some of the important things you can take away to go, you know what? This is going to last.
I think the greatest thing that you could take out of this is number one, that you picked up 2 defensive backs in the draft last year, and they're for real. I mean, it's not a joke anymore.
Yeah.
I think, let's face it, you go into the first 4 games, you're hoping that Quinyon Mitchell is going to be good. You're hoping that he could turn into this decent back.
Yeah.
He's not a decent back. He's a really damn good back. He doesn't even get thrown at anymore. You thought the same thing about Cooper DeJean. He was injured during training camp. What's he going to turn into? He's joined that pack with Quinyon Mitchell right now, and I think this is just scratching the surface for them too. They're both going in that great direction that we want to see them go in. We want to see them be like this for years to come. They've started off on the right foot.
Yeah.
I think defensively, the first thing I'm always going to think of is Morrow's numbers, the back of his jersey. That's all I could picture from last year. Every single time there was a ball thrown over the middle, it was Morrow chasing somebody from behind instead of coverage. And now all of a sudden I look at these linebackers. Zach Bond, he's got a chance, and I'm saying a chance. He'll be in the conversation of a Defensive Player of the Year. He's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year.
But no, he's going to be in the mix.
He's going to be in the mix. And then Nakobe Dean, where everybody was wondering, can he make it through a season without injury? Yeah. As a matter of fact, your linebackers in Philadelphia right now might be the best duo in the National Football League. You brought up the trenches. And that is the main thing to me, because I'll start with defensively. That's where everything gets started. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. It doesn't show up in the stat book. Never does. Rarely does. But when he is disrupting a backfield, when the quarterback knowingly has to be very, you have to be very focused on that side of the line of what might happen. Your play might get disrupted over there. What does that make you do? It makes you go to one side of the field, and then you have Jordan Davis over there too. I just think defensively, I will, and all of this is coming to one thing. I'm going to say Vic Fangio has put these guys together. He's done a fantastic job in giving them the confidence to do what they need to do, and they are doing it as a whole, as a unit. And this is one thing you couldn't say about last year. You had 11 guys playing their own position last year on defense.
Yep.
Now you have 11 guys playing as one unit right now on defense, and it looks pretty. And this defense seems to be getting better and better as the days wear on. So that's only beneficial as you head towards the playoffs, because we know defense wins Super Bowls. Well, guess what? There's a defense here that could win a Super Bowl right now. And offensively, I thought you brought up a really good point. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to be the hero every single day. He doesn't have to be the hero at all. As a matter of fact, they brought in a hero. A guy that's standing in the backfield right now. You said over 14, almost 1,500, 1 yard short of 1,500. He has been everything you could have asked a running back to be. Mm-hmm. And he has taken the pressure off of a lot of guys on that offense. And I think he has given that offensive line a sense of pride, in the sense that when they go in there, they get to deliver the blows now. They're not in protection mode every single play. They get to deliver the blows. They get to get into the second level and destroy some guys in the second level. What does that make you feel like? And that's something I want to ask Barrett Brooks when he comes on, because I will guarantee you he'll say, that's what we love to do. We love to run block. And this is what I'm seeing from this team. You don't need to throw the ball 100 times in a football game to be a good football team. And I think there was a time in the last 10 years where that became big because of Patrick Mahomes, flipping the ball, sidearm, this and that. This team is just a solid all-around football team that nobody has to do too much, although your back is doing a lot.
Yeah, nobody has to do too much. And also what he's doing is enhanced by the offensive line and still the threat of A.J. Brown, where they can't sell out completely to stop him, because and I do think, for the people worried about stats, is there is going to be a team that actually tries to fully sell out to stop the run. And at that point, Devontae Smith will be back. And trust me, they'll make them pay. But when you're winning every week, it just seems silly to worry about stats.